Thank you, John, for your words of welcome and for your invitation to be with you all this afternoon. And can I thank you, John, for your continuing work as Chairman of the Mine Safety Advisory Council, and to the other members of the Mine Safety Advisory Council, my thanks and the thanks of the community. It is a very important work, and it is a very valuable work. It's quite appropriate when you come to the Museum of Contemporary Art to see the contemporary art that lines the wall now here. Many people have different ideas on what is modern art. Well, this probably qualifies as much as anything else, so well done. And I do think it's invigorating and energising that these sort of forums take place, not because you necessarily learn anything new all the time, but because you recapitulate your commitment, you go away fortified in your knowledge, you share your experiences, and above all you share a common commitment. And that common commitment is to safety, is to the safety of those who work in the industry. I was very pleased yesterday to meet a major operator in the industry, which intends to get bigger in the industry. And when they started to run through, as companies do, their achievements, their biggest single achievement and their proudest achievement and their first achievement that they drew my attention to was their accident rate having fallen dramatically since 2008 and their non-fatality rate having been kept since the year 2008. That was achievement number one, aim number one. But my purpose is on a number of fronts. I suppose the first purpose is to reinforce to you what your chairman said, what John Hannaford said, and that is that the government and myself, as the responsible minister, do take seriously the issue of mine safety, and that ideas that come from your council, ideas that come from fora, ideas that come from the union movement, from the industry, will be taken very seriously, because we are determined to ensure a culture of 100% safety. The second point, and this is a very important point, is that it never stops. This is an issue that never reaches a plateau and stays there. This is an issue that continues on always. As long as there is an industry, as long as there are people, we will always have the issue of safety, we will always have the issue of occupational health, and we will learn, we will progress, but we will never get to a point where we say, we've achieved, we've climbed the mountain. The mountain is always there to be climbed. There are always improvements. Even New South Wales, which does have a pretty good record, experienced tragically 2 deaths in the last year. And our target and our aim and our commitment must be zero. There is no other figure, and that has got to be zero. That's where we're at, and that's where we continually work towards. And even when we get to the stage of being zero, we've got to maintain it then, and so there will always be a role, always be a role. And technology changes, technology improves, but humans are the same. That's why we have non-technical skills, because humans, whether they're 2,000 years ago in the mines or today, are still the same. Still lovable, but still reckless, still sometimes ignorant, sometimes always taking shortcuts, sometimes responsible for their friends, sometimes irresponsible. My own view on non-technical skills, which I've expressed, I think, before, to meetings such as this, meetings chaired by John, is that the fundamental value of non-technical skills, and there are many, of leadership, of education, of teamwork, but the fundamental skill is the Australian value of mateship. It's the value that you've got to look after one another, and that by looking after one another, you develop a responsible work system. That people, if they see somebody acting outside the range of safety, will chide them for it. And chide them not in a sense that you're breaking the rules, that these are the rules laid down by the boss and you should be disciplined. No, you're not looking after us. You're not playing your part as one of all of us together. You're letting your mates down. That's the culture that needs to be engendered. If mine safety is just a list of rules with the boss responsible for their enforcement, then it's never going to work effectively. Never going to work effectively at all. It only works effectively, to my mind, and all of you I know a lot more than me, but I'm only expressing my own view. It works effectively to my mind, if the culture is such that there's a feeling that irresponsibility, lack of safety, ignoring danger signs are all factors that simply mean that you're letting your mates down. And the biggest and most important part of any communal work activity like mining is the fact there is a shared mateship, there is a shared collegiality of work, and that's got to be the underlying motivation for people to act safely and responsibility and be quite prepared to chide one another if they go outside the bounds, and that irresponsible behaviour isn't something to be laughed at and isn't something that you're a bit of a larrikin and we're all mates together and you can do these things. Irresponsible behaviour, unsafe behaviour, because any behaviour that's unsafe is irresponsible in that context, is something which is seen as letting the side down. It's got to be embedded in the culture, and that's not because it makes the boss happy, it's because it gets you home to your family at night and means that the injuries and the fatalities that have so afflicted the industry historically are minimised and eliminated. We've got to accept the fact that it's a continuing challenge. There will never be a VE day, a treaty of peace, when it's all over, when we all settle back and say, well, that's one problem solved. This is a problem that just keeps staying there. We can minimise it, but humans being what they are, we probably can never eliminate it. But forums like this are so important in that ongoing process. So if there are good ideas that come forward, then please let me have them, and we will certainly action on them. Finally, let me say, I do think the industry works extremely well in the collaboration between management, academia, the union movement. It's an excellent example. We don't give ourselves enough credit in this country for what we achieve. We're always very conscious of where we fail. But what do people say about politicians? They like politicians most when they're all working together, when they all see a common objective and they're all working towards it. And you get, and I know this sounds a bit ridiculous, but you get more phone calls if you've been on a radio program agreeing with the opposite number than you do if you've disagreed with the opposite number. It's just a fact of life. People like to think you've been given a job as a politician to get a result for your state or your country, and you're all working together towards it rather than simply working to score points off one another. And it's the same with mine safety. It's great that academia, that management, that the union movement all essentially sing from the same sheet, all want the same objective. Sure, there's going to be discussion about how you get there, what's the most effective and cost-effective way of getting there, but the objective's the same, the spirit that motivates everybody is the same, and gee, I think that's a great achievement. So look, my best wishes for our ongoing conference. I'd like to see more contributions to modern contemporary art as the day goes on, and thank you once again, John, for the invitation to be with you here today.